Alright, so let's take a quick look at the radio itself. This is a Crosley Collector's Limited Edition radio, model CR18. It's an imitation, sort of vintage remake of a 1930-something model. And this one was made in 1998. I don't know if you can read that. But yeah, 1998. Alright. And the insides have basically been stripped, but if we look at the outside, it's a little bit, iffy. I've taken everything out. So these used to be the original knobs, right? So here's audio, a little hard plastic, nice sound there. We have this on-off. We have the tuning knob, and we have a AM/FM switch. And these, of course, will be adapted when we make a speaker, right? So on-off, we'll make tuning, probably switching between the projector audio and speaker audio, and then, maybe volume. But, we have a couple options with 3 knobs. They're quite nice. Alright, if we look at the port here, this used to be where the AM/FM tuning was, so just show you, where you were trying to tune to. 1100 on the AM, whatever. AM on one end, FM on the other. Here's a nice little Art Deco style. Pretty good looking. Reminiscent of the old skyscrapers of the 30s and the 40s. Alright, if we turn on its side, this used to be the cassette player. Took that out. On the inside, there used to be radio receiver. This is the original speaker. Nice 8-watt, 3-watt, 8-ohm speaker. Still in pretty good condition. We're probably going to use it. And of course, there used to be a transformer. Took that out, replaced it with this little Amazon Basics adapter for 3 plugs. We probably won't need all 3. But still good to have. Alright, why don't we go over our other components now. Alright, so why don't we start with the sort of star of the show. This little mini projector here. It's extremely small. It actually took quite a bit of work to find one that would fit in this interior, because it's, projectors generally are, pretty damn big, right? Like, they're probably bigger than this width. But yeah, this little tiny little Picasso, I don't know how to pronounce that, on Amazon, about $270 something. Pretty nice quality. So the plan is to put this right in here. Projects out. I'm probably gonna make a 3D printed stand for this. Attach it more securely. And it's a touch screen. It has USB port. It has a USB ports on the side here. Charging power, headphone jack, which is pretty important. That's what we're gonna use to send the audio from this to the speakers. And HDMI, may as well include that. You never know, you might want to project something from a laptop or even a phone. Yeah, this got a nice little mounting screw. But yeah, this is the main star of the show. It's what's gonna really be the main thing here. We have this speaker, an amp board. This speaker I scavenged from a radio, another different radio. This one's a bit smaller. It's actually an 8 ohm 0.3 watt, so it's not going to be as much power, it's not going to be as loud. Here's our amp board, here's our amplifier actually, if I can bring that up here. It's an Adafruit TPA 2016 D2. Pretty simple. You just put in power, ground, and then you just put in the stereo audio signals, and they come out of these pinouts here. Pretty basic stuff. Here's our power board. It's a nameless, brandless power board, 5 volts. We're going to plug in here, 5-volt adapter into one of these plugs. So we'll have 2 plugs, one for charging the projector, one for powering the actual speakers. And just to make my life easier, I have this little TRS breakout. So we're going to be plugging in 3.5mm audio jacks right in here. We're going to have 2 of these, one always connected to this projector, and one just, sort of hang out of the radio, so that way you want to play something from your phone, from a laptop, whatever, you can plug it right in. So, and those are the basic components. So why don't we give the electronics a bit of a test. we've got all the electronics plugged in. So we have, I'm trying to be delicate here, as not to unplug anything. We have the TRS breakout. We're just doing one side. We're doing mono right now because I don't want to have to plug in this thing over here. Pretty much pain. So this TRS breakout, this is coming in from my phone. This is the audio signal, ground. Alright, and this goes into a potentiometer. This is a volume control. It's a 10 kilo ohm. Yeah, 10 kilo ohm, and it's a log taper. That's what you want to use for audio. You can turn it, lower it. You can increase the audio. I set it so that the audio increases volume when you turn to the right, just kind of a universal thing. Well, I guess kind of universal. We also have this audio breakout. I don't want to touch it. It's loose. Here we go. Yeah, let's use the camera. So yeah, we have the audio signal coming in from the phone, from the TRS breakout. We have the ground coming in from the phone as well. We have power, ground coming in from the power board. Pretty basic. Alright, why don't we give it a test? So I'll load up some DefCap for Qt on my phone. Alright, you can hear that. So now that's pretty loud. I want it a little bit quieter. Alright, so there we go. Nice little taper. Turn it all the way down, and it's off. Now let's turn it back slowly so you can see. Oh, it's loud enough that it's vibrating my table, actually. That's pretty impressive. Alright, so let me turn that down. So yeah, there we go. Let's put the pause. Nice little first test here. So everything works electronically. Now to just figure out how to fit it all in here. And we're probably going to add we're going to add the other speaker. We're going to add another TRS breakout using relays, so that way we can switch between this phone audio as well as the projector audio. So why don't we do that next? Alright, so we've just finished building. Basically, we've just added these two relays. These two relays connected to the left and right input of each of these breakouts. One of the breakouts is connected to our projector up here. You can kind of see it. And we'll be playing some music through that. And one of them is just connected to my phone, so we'll be playing music through that as well. So yeah, why don't we get started? So I think first we can play a little bit of random, how about a little bit of Panic at the Disco, yeah? Alright, let's see how this works. So there you go, you can hear that. Let's turn that volume up. Alright, turn that down all the way. Alright, now let's switch to the phone. We play a little bit of Gregory Alan Isakov. This is loud. Alright, so let's switch. The little switch here. That's a switch. Oh, gotta be delicate about this. A lot of loose wires. There we go. So you can hear it's a different, so Alright, and then same thing, you have audio control. Let's turn all the way down. All the way up. God, this little speaker is surprisingly loud. Makes it kind of hard to think. And then we can just switch back again. Oh god. Switch back again to the Panic at the Disco. Then we can switch back. There you go. And switching. Oh, it's too loud. It's shaking the table. Shaking the speaker on the table. But yeah, there you go. Quick test of the double. We can switch between audio sources. It's pretty good. Alright, so why don't we quickly go over this admittedly very rough circuit diagram. Bit out of focus, but oh well. So here we have this 5-volt power supply board. On-off switch, that's basically just going to end up being just a wire attached to this knob. We're going to 3D print a little enclosure, so when you turn it to one end, it turns on, right? It puts two pieces of wires together so that current can flow through. And when we twist it the other way, it turns off, right? There's no contact between the things. Alright, nice and simple. Same thing here on the audio switch. Same thing with the knob. When it is closed, it'll trigger these relays. And when it is normally closed, right, so there's no power, the switch is open, the projector audio is default. And we want that because this is mainly for the projector. But if you turn it to the other side, normally open, there's the external audio. So your phone or a laptop or anything like that. We have the outputs from both of these going into a dual audio potentiometer. This is a log taper potentiometer of 10 kilo ohm. And this will go into the actual amplifier. So right positive, left positive, that's the actual sound, right? The sound wave. And you have left negative, right negative, that's just ground. We're grounding everything, right, together because you don't want anything to be ungrounded. So in this case, if you look TRS, tip ring sleeve of your 3.5mm connector, it is left, right, ground. So we're grounding everything to the 5-volt power supply board because if you don't do that, there's going to be a lot of audio buzzing, right? So you don't want that buzzing. I don't know if you've experienced this on your speakers, but if you're not properly grounded, you'll hear this buzzing. You know, very, very low buzzing consistently. You can't really get rid of it unless you ground everything properly. But yeah, that's the basic gist of it. So it'll be 3 knobs: on-off knob, switch knob between projector and external audio, and the volume control knob to adjust volume. Higher resistance means lower volume, lower resistance means lower volume. You know, turn it right to be loud, turn it left to be quieter. Pretty basic stuff. But yeah, and it'll of course be much prettier than our current setup here. This is all testing loose wires. We might make a PCB, or I could just do some soldering. You know, it really depends on what I feel. But yeah, we'll get back to it in a bit. Alright, so we've got the circuit diagram all set, so I don't need all this anymore. Just unplug everything. And we'll just throw it all into the project box. Plug everything first. So yeah, it's always a good idea to have a project box. I have these really big plastic boxes just to keep all your parts in one place. And we're just gonna whoop right in there. We don't really care if anything gets disconnected because we have the circuit diagram. Let's disconnect our audio cables here. Whoop. Come on. Ooh. There we go. Get rid of that. Alright. Power supply. Okay, so it looks like it's time to start some measurements. We're going to want to measure to make sure that we can fit everything in here. So let's get these knobs as well. We want to measure those knobs. So why don't we grab ourselves calipers real quick. Okay. Alright. So here's some calipers. So first things first. Why don't we just get a bead on just about how much space we need for our projector here. So we're gonna have HDMI cable. So why don't we grab that? I'm just gonna plug everything in. That way we have a rough idea of how much space we're gonna need on either side. DC power. We have a little USB mic mouse plugged in right now because it's a pain in the butt. I don't want to have to reach in and use the touchscreen every time. Alright, so let's see here. Right around here. Yeah, it's gonna be a little rough because the HDMI cord is not very flexible, so it's gonna push against the right side of the wall there, making the actual projector off-center, which is a tiny detail, pretty small detail, but generally I prefer for things to be level more middling. It'll be fine, I'm sure. Won't be able to tell the difference. So I'm thinking right now maybe use the tops here as a place for supports. Make a nice little platform. Have it edge out. Have it come out on the edge like a little hammock. A little bit of a hammock here. That's not bad. And then amplifier board. You know, we need to attach these wires, so probably put the amp down here on the other side. Have all the cables coming out, so we need all these cables to come out from that side. Really quick. So we're just gonna loop this out. Alright, so that way you want to plug in something to watch on the projector. That's easy. Plug in from your laptop. We have audio. So, oh no, that's not audio, that's power. So this we're gonna have to tie up on the edge. Maybe switch these actually. Maybe we want to switch these. Okay. There we go. That's much better. It's much better. And this cord is plenty long, so I can put the power supply anywhere I want. Probably down here. Probably put all the electronics down there. 3D print something there. Yeah, that seems about fine. Move all the wires out. So I'm gonna grab the audio cable. Let's grab the audio cable for this bad boy. There we go. Loop this through. Plug it in here, and that's pretty much everything that's going to be plugged into this projector, so we can account for any sort of space issues. Alright, yeah, and we're probably going to want a way to hit the power button, to be honest with you. I don't think people want to be reaching inside every time to push that, so maybe we'll make a 3D printed button or something. But yeah, if you notice, the projector actually just barely fits in here. There's maybe a centimeter of space between the outer edge here and the back edge. And all the other projectors I found were also too wide for this porthole. So, alright, so why don't we get down to more specific measurements with the calipers. We'll just do that in fast forward time. So here we have a little attachment that I've designed. This is basically just going to go right into the holes, the 3 holes of the radio projector. This outer diameter is a press fit with the holes that are already on the radio, so it'll have a little bit of built-in support, but I'm also including a small hole here in case I want to screw it in, just for extra support. So this is just going to guide the plastic knobs that we're going to attach from the top side here. We're going to have the audio potentiometer, the volume control in the back, or for the other 2 switches, it'll be rotary switches, so that way you can turn it on and off. And this guide is just here to make sure that the knob doesn't jiggle, right? We don't want jiggly knobs. We don't want them to be able to pull the knob or anything. So this is the way we're going to do it. Alright, so why don't we throw this in the printer along with the other things we're going to print. And yeah. So we just finished printing these right here. If you can take a look at this. Yep. And it sticks right in here. And as you can see, there's a little press fit, so even without the screws, this is alright. It's holding it alright. Let's do the other 2 now. Not bad, not bad. Let's give a little test. Stick this right through. Alright, and I'm going to jiggle it up and down, left and right, so it's pretty much staying secure. Oh, that's loosening a little. And that's why I want the screws, so that way it's always secure. But otherwise, this is a good start. Yeah. Put this here. So yeah, all you can do now is make some supports for this audio controller, as well as the 2 switches. They're going to be on the sides here. Oh, there we go, that one fell out. So yeah, why don't we get to that? So we've just installed these with screws, and they're pretty secure. Really can't move them, even if you put your work into it. See, I'm moving the entire structure before I do anything. So now we're going to do a little bit of a test. Alright, right in there, pretty secure. Stick this in here. Pretty solid. Definitely going to need to secure these little knobs. This is the volume control, and this is what we're going to use for the on-off switch. It is a 1-pole, I believe, 1-pole 12 option rotary switch, which is a bit more than we need, about 10 more than we need. So what we'll probably do is we'll make half of it off and then half of it on. Alright, and you can hear, let me bring this up to the camera. You can hear, I don't know if you can hear that. Let me bring it up to the microphone as well. And that's just the inner switch, little dipper switch there, little switch going between 1 and 12. So all the way left will be off, and then, you know, maybe a couple extra ones, maybe half will be off, and that just, I leave it unconnected. And then the last 6 will be on. You know, pretty simple stuff. But yeah. Alright, why don't we get to designing some holders for these bad boys, as well as this. They're a bit different shaped, and they're different hole sizes, so we'll have to make a custom one for each one. So while everything is 3D printing, we're just going to quickly solder the circuit together, as we've shown in the circuit diagram. Alright, so here we have, I actually ran out of white PLA, so you'll notice this is a different color. This is orange PLA, because I ran out of white PLA. So here's the volume controller. We'll just cut up a little proto board, so that way I can solder directly to these headers. Can't really do the same with these switches, so it should be all sorts of fun to solder right to these headers. I don't really have any crimping tools right now, so that'll be fun. Here's our main circuit here. Power board. Our two little 3.5mm jacks. Our two relays for switching direction. And I was contemplating using a relay for the on-off, but since I'm going to be running 5 volt through this anyway, I don't want to split current. I don't want to reduce the amperage that goes to the amplifier, so we're just going to connect this directly to the power supply. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so we've just finished soldering, and I've plugged in the power board to the outlet, so it's providing power now. Let's turn everything on. So here's the on-off switch. So I've loaded up a bit of polka, as you can see. Turn that down a bit, it's a little loud. So I can turn it all the way down, and all the way back up. Why don't we set it to a kind of medium volume. Alright, so now I have Panic of Disco loaded up on my phone. As you can see, it's playing. So why don't we switch it? So you can see, you can hear. Alright, same thing. Let's turn it back to the polka. So yeah, everything works, everything's soldered properly. Alright, so why don't we get to work on installing this. Let's turn this off. Why don't we get to work on installing this on the actual radio. And as you can see, I've already installed one of the 3D printed attachments. Just test it out. Alright, so let's go grab the radio and get to work. Okay, so we've just put everything together. So why don't we give it a test? I've already plugged everything in. Everything only uses one extension cord out here to power everything inside, just for convenience sake. So why don't we load up something on my phone here. Alright, let's just play some Fall Out Boy, sure. Why don't we turn this on? Oh, it's already on. Alright. Let's switch it to the phone output. You can hear that. And while that's playing, why don't we turn on the projector? So I have this little remote that came with the projector. Let's turn that down. So yeah, unfortunately the wood is pretty thick, so you can't use the remote from any angle. You have to actually point it either directly at this plastic bit. The IR signal seems to be able to go through that, or you have to just point it right through here, so that way there's no barrier. Alright, so we'll let that start. It's a little hard to see. Maybe if I turn on the light. Whatever. Still problematic either way. Alright, so let's load up YouTube. And we have an HDMI cord, so if you do end up wanting to watch from a computer, or, you know, any sort of console or DVD player, whatever. DVD player. Whatever you have, you can port it right into the projector screen. It's really hard to see because of the webcam. If I push it closer, can I do anything? Kind of. Oh well. Limitations of cheap $30 webcams. So here we have YouTube loaded up. I also have a USB mouse hooked up to this, but I think the remote is a bit more convenient. Let's just play some Of Monsters and Men, so you can clearly hear the difference. Oh, there's an ad. Why don't we listen to the ad a bit?
Ever during this crisis, their communities have been hit the hardest. So,
all right, here we go.
I am sorry, this is always how it goes.
So yeah, this bad boy is pretty loud. I have the original 8-ohm 3-watt speaker that came with the radio. And I also added a 8-ohm 0.3 watt just to add a little bit more depth and add a little bit more to the stereo feel of it. But yeah, and again, we can switch this back to our phone. Switch it back to the projector.
I am tired of letting it all in.
Alright. Let's pause that. Turn that down. Alright, looks like everything's working. So I'll only take a brief look at how it looks on the inside. Turn the light on there. Turn this off while we're here. Press pause. Okay. So, here we have little vintage looking supports here. Let's take that out. It's a bit messy, but the projector stand is better than it used to be. The electronics, a bit messy. I think I'll design a PCB in the future just to consolidate all these wires. We don't need this many wires when I can just have a PCB do that. There's a lot here. If I wanted to, I could splice and just cut out a lot of this, so that way I can shorten that. But I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's tucked away. It's out of the way. But yeah. So that is the radio projector slash... Oh, it's hard to do with one hand. Close it back up with one hand. Woo. That is the radio projector slash speaker. Everything is functioning. Gotta use my other hand here. Holding the camera. Woo. Yeah. Thank you for watching, and hope to catch you in the next video. Alright, later.